welcome to Happy Chick. Today we are going to be making the cheap, sweet red wine that I promised. This is literally very cheap and very simple. I calculated the amounts of everything. It's simply the juice, sugar, yeast, and of course water. And my batch, your prices may vary, but my batch is going to cost me $4.53 to make. Okay? So this is just the juice, 2.5 cups of sugar, and the yeast. And this is just brewer's yeast. So let's get started. I'm excited for this wine. Everything here has been washed and sanitized, so I didn't want to bore you guys with that. But it's just the Star San sanitizer. They dipped in it, and then I just kind of let them drain out. And so all I have here is my fermenter that I'm going to ferment the wine in. I've got a turkey baster to pull out some of the solution so that we can measure the starting gravity. Got my hydrometer, my calibrated cylinder, something to stir with, the lid of course. I've got some bread yeast. I already measured out my 2.5 cups of sugar. My juice, I'm using concentrated grape juice today. And each one will make up to 48 fluid ounces. So I'm using 2 of them. So that way I can get almost a full gallon. You can use these jugs of juice too. It would be 2 of these, because this is a ½ gallon. And you just want to make sure that the ingredients is 100% juice and no preservatives. This has, this is an apple cider, but this is just the juices and ascorbic acid, which is a vitamin C. That's okay. But anything else, you may not want to use that. It may have preservatives and it will prevent your yeast from producing wine. Or make it very slow production. And I also have my airlock here filled with the sanitizer water ready to go. So, all right, so the first thing that we're going to do is hydrate the yeast. Some people don't do this, but I kind of like to make sure that everything is, working. So I've got just a little cup. And I'm going to put my yeast in. This recipe calls for 1 teaspoon of yeast. I'm using, and I got it all over me now. I'm using 1 teaspoon of the Fleischmann's Active Dry Yeast. Okay. Yeast everywhere now. Now, if you choose to use a actual wine yeast, your ending product could be slightly different. The alcohol tolerance on these are usually around 12% or so. So, and most other wines, you may get up to 14. If you choose to do a champagne, it'll go up to 18, and it'll be a drier wine. So you may want to increase your sugar if you choose to use a yeast that has a higher alcohol tolerance, because it will eat through the sugar and not leave any residual sugar behind. So if that made any sense at all. So we're going to do that. I've already measured out my water per what the directions were for my concentrated juice. So this is my water. So I'm just going to pour in a little bit just to get this hydrated and kind of getting going a little bit. Get them awake and say, hey, let's get busy. Let's do some chomping on some sugars and stuff. Just kind of stirring this up to get them kind of off the bottom, kind of clumpy. There's my spoon. Don't need that anymore. All right. Sometimes they'll foam up, sometimes they won't. It just kind of, say, hey, let's get going here. And this is room temperature water. It's filtered, and like I said in my very first video, if your drinking water is great to drink, then go ahead and use that. Just filter it through to make sure there's no chlorine or fluoride. Wine don't need no fluoride. And you'll be good to go. If you do not have drinking water that's appropriate to drink, I mean, your tap water, it's not great, then you can use bottled spring water, and that'll be perfectly fine as well. Just room temperature. All right, that's good to go. We'll set that aside while we're doing the rest of the stuff. Now, in my fermenter, I'm going to add my sugar. 2.5 cups of sugar. That's U.S. cups. Do this so I'm not blocking your view. You can use a funnel. I probably should have grabbed one. Oh well. This is a wide mouth. If you have a smaller necked bottle, then obviously you will want to use a funnel. Just make sure that it's been sanitized and then dried completely, or your sugar will stick to your funnel and not get in your container that you want to brew in. All right. So we're going to open up our juice. These have been sitting for a little bit, so I'm going to shake them up because there might be some particulates that would be great for the yeast to chomp on. Some nutrients. All right. Maybe I shouldn't have shook them up so much. Oh well. I've never used these canned ones before, so this will prove to be interesting. All right, it smells good. Wow. Didn't think it'd be that foamy, but man, oh man, they are. It smells so good. That looks pretty clean. All right. So now that we've got it about halfway, we're going to start stirring up the sugar. We want it to be completely dissolved in the wine juice, but I don't want to fill it all the way up because I want to shake it. I may end up having to shake this, and it might be a little too heavy. You do want to introduce quite a bit of oxygen at this time. It's good for the yeast to do that. You can't really see me, sorry. Maybe do some shaking. Maybe that'll do it. Okay. Now this does have a hole, so I'm going to have to make sure that I have it covered completely when I'm shaking, and it's nice and on. So, there we go. It does produce quite a bit of foam, so you do want to be careful when you're filling your fermenter that you don't go too far up, because once we introduce the yeast, it's going to start foaming up, and you don't want the yeast to come up into the airlock, because then it gets kind of gross and you have to clean it out. Some wines do produce quite a bit of foam, But if you do find that you've overfilled your fermenter with too much liquid and it is coming up into your airlock, simply just take your airlock off, rinse it out really good, make sure that there's no particulates stuck in there, and then refill it with sanitizer or a drinking alcohol once again and put it back on. It's okay. You just don't want to leave it like that because then it will dry and you'll never be able to get it cleaned. It dries really hard. So the faster you can get it cleaned up, the better it will be. This is almost there, actually. That looks good. We're going to go ahead and pitch the yeast next. Give that a stir again. Make sure everything is off of the bottom of the cup, off the sides. Okay. Open up our lid, pitch our yeast. Give it another good shake just to distribute that yeast throughout the must. It's called a must now. Okay. We're going to go ahead and measure our specific gravity next. This will let us know what our starting sugar levels will be. And that way we'll know if our wine is ready and done. Should be done within a month's time. It shouldn't take longer than that. Actually, fermentation probably is a little bit shorter, but we do want it to settle out a little bit. It's really funny. All right, so I've got some liquid in my graduated cylinder. We're going to pop our hydrometer in. I think I might have overfilled it a bit. Put back some in there. There we go. It's okay to pour it back in at this time. Everything's been sanitized, so it's all good. So, get my pen. Our starting gravity. 1.124 is our starting gravity. There's that. Tripping over everything. Pop this back in. In the South, it's kind of hard to keep fruit flies away, so you have to be very careful. We've been warm lately. I mean, it's February, but it's been warm lately. Like 70 degrees out. And so they're starting to come out again. All these flies. And I don't think it's a fruit fly, but it's a little fly. And it's driving me bonkers. Alright, so we've got our airlock. Gonna just pop her in here. Alright. We're just gonna label this jug. And alright. So we've got the airlock set in. The yeast is pitched, juice is in, sugar's in, everything's ready. So this will take about 30 days to fully ferment and then settle out. Then we will come back and rack her off of the lees, which is all the stuff at the bottom. And we will do a taste test. In the meantime, we want to keep her in fairly dark spot, like a closet or underneath a table or something like that, but it's not going to get disturbed. You also want it in a place that will have an even temperature. Optimum is around between, I think they say about 60 to 70 degrees, somewhere around in there. You can kind of shake it the first 1 or 2 days just to kind of, see how things are going. But after that, leave it alone. And then we'll see you back in 30 days. Bye. Have a great day.